What's up everyone, Anwar Thinks Back once again, and today I'm going to tell you my top 10 WWE matches of all time. Kicking us off at number 10, we've got Bret the Hitman Hart versus Owen Hart at WrestleMania 10. And to me this match is absolutely beautiful because of the context of which it lies. Let's start at the very beginning. Bret and Owen are brothers. Bret the older brother, Owen the baby of the family. So there's a dynamic straight away for you. And what they did in storyline was they had Bret Hart be the champion. He'd won the WWF title, he won the IC title, the tag title, he'd won everything that the WWF had to offer. But Owen, he's the baby brother. He's in his shadow. He is just as capable as Bret, but he doesn't get the same chances. So there we've got it. There's a little bit of friction, and it really hit a boiling point at Survivor Series 1993 when it was the Hart family, all Bret and his brothers, you know, there was Keith, Bruce, Owen, and they were against Jerry Lawler and his Knights. But then Jerry Lawler had a legal issue at the time, so he was replaced by Shawn Michaels. Boom. There's an extra element to this. Bret and Shawn have this legendary rivalry. And what happens in the match? Bret gets Irish. Bret is like on the apron and he's kind of all groggy. Owen gets Irish whipped into Bret. Bret goes flying off the apron into the barricade, and then as Owen reflects and bounces back from the ropes, deflects should I say, is rolled up. Shawn Michaels pins him. 1, 2, 3. Owen Hart is eliminated. The Hart family go on to win, and Owen comes back after the match, and the commentary team is like, wow, brilliant. Owen's coming back to celebrate. But he pulls Bret off the ropes when he's celebrating, and he starts arguing, and the Hart family like, whoa, what's going on? We're all cool. And Owen's mad because he's been eliminated because of Bret, when Bret really should be the one who's angry because Owens knocked him off the apron and nailed him into the barricade, and now Bret's up injured and has to finish the rest of the match like that. It carries on. Royal Rumble 1994. The storyline is, listen, we fell out of Survivor Series, but we are brothers. We're going to go for the tag team titles. And Bret gets injured in the match, but he tries to soldier on. He is that valiant wrestler. He is the hero for us all, who we look up to and go, I wish I was more like him. What happens? They end up losing it because of Bret's injury. Now Owen again is fuming. He's like, listen, you were injured. I was on the outside. You should have tagged me, Bret. You should have tagged me. You never tagged me. This then goes over to this match that I'm talking about. WrestleMania 10, Bret versus Owen. Bret went on to win the Royal Rumble match, joined with Lex Luger afterwards at the Royal Rumble. So after he'd lost the tag team titles, Owen's fuming with him. Bret goes on to win it. Makes it even worse for Owen. So now, listen, let's go one-on-one with each other at WrestleMania, because like I say, Bret won it, joined with Lex Luger. So what were they going to do? Triple threat matches weren't really in American pro wrestling at the time. So they said, listen, Lex will face Yoko first, and then Bret will face Yoko. But then Bret gets an advantage because they're both two who's going to face each other, Lex and Yoko. Whoever wins, you would have gone through a match. Well, why don't we start you with Bret versus Owen? So he has to have a match first as well. So Bret's had a match, and whoever he faces in the main event, they're going to have a match. So it's Bret versus Owen to start WrestleMania 10. It is a brilliant match. Go back and watch it. And the best thing about it is, Owen wins. Owen does a victory roll on Bret Hart and gets the win. Owen has his moment. He finally triumphs over his brother, and what happens? Bret goes on in the main event to beat Yokozuna and become WWF champion again. The very man he lost it to the year before at WrestleMania 9. So you've got all this mixed in. It is just, it's a Picasso of a picture. It is just so well told in the storytelling. And the show goes off air with Bret Hart on the shoulders of all the good guy wrestlers. Bob Holly, I think the Steiners might be down there. All the good guy wrestlers are like hoisting him up on the shoulders, and then Owen comes down, hands on hip, Pakistani cricket meme style, looking like, I can't believe this. I've just beaten you. I had my great moment and you've gone and trumped me once again. Bret Hart, Owen Hart, WrestleMania 10. Mwah. Masterpiece. Number 9, we are staying with WrestleMania 10, and the match that had everybody talking afterwards. Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental title in a ladder match. Now, this is the first time that a mainstream audience was seeing a ladder match. So to us, It was absolutely mind-blowing. There's more of a context to that. The ladder match, I think, actually originated in Stampede Wrestling. I don't know if that's specifically where it originated, but that's where the germ of the idea ended up with the WWF. Because Bret Hart, obviously, Stu Hart, his father, obviously Bret and Owen was in the last match. Bret Hart saw the ladder match in Stampede and went to Vince McMahon saying, listen, we should do this. We should do a ladder match in WWF. And Vince said, hey, we're going to do it. And I promise you, I'm going to do it with you. And what did he do? He did the non-televised stuff with Bret Hart, like Bret versus Shawn in ladder matches and stuff like that. And then at WrestleMania, when it's been shown to the world, it's Razor versus Shawn Michaels. The story going into it. Shawn Michaels was champion, and I believe he actually got suspended for 30 days. But in storyline, he hadn't defended the title for 30 days. So what did they do? They do a battle royal on Raw. Now this is maybe one of the first huge moments on WWF Raw where they have the battle royal. Razor Ramon gets the win, and then I say gets the win. They have two winners of the battle royal, and those two will go on to face each other next week on Raw. I count Razor Ramon as the first star truly made in the Monday Night Raw because he was there, he was around. He had title matches at like Royal Rumble 93, but it wasn't so Raw where he really became a good level star. And he obviously had the match with the 1-2-3 kid, which was just before this, but that all led up to this. Rick Martel and Razor Ramon, they win the Battle Royal. Razor Ramon gets the win, and then Shawn Michaels comes back, and there's two Intercontinental title belts. Well, how are you going to decide a winner? You put the two titles above the ring, and you give the mainstream audience their first taste of a ladder match, and it was just completely out of this world. I'd only been watching wrestling for like a year and a half at the time, so to me, it wasn't too far out of the world, but imagine if you've been watching wrestling for 20 years and then you just see this for the first time, a ladder match, you'd be like, whoa, this is next level. And that's what a lot of people felt like at the time. It ends with that iconic shot of Razor Ramon going up there, taking down the two titles and then holding them out aloft. There's a few little interesting notes in this match. Ric Flair famously didn't like Scott Hall, and he said that this match was Shawn Michaels working with a ladder, and that Razor Ramon just happened to be in there. You've also got the fact that Diesel was in there, and Diesel was like sent out from ringside, and you've got this little click factor of Shawn Michaels, Diesel, and Razor Ramon all in this match at WrestleMania 10. And the fact that they only had one ladder. Now, granted, it's Madison Square Garden. There was going to be loads of ladders somewhere in the back, but if it broke, they could have arranged to replace it from somewhere, from some broom closet. But yeah, imagine if that ladder broke and they had to start to scramble and trying to find that, and then this door's broke and this, and this, and they couldn't really find stuff. That would have been very interesting. But luckily it didn't, and we got one hell of a match. Number 8, we are rolling back the years, another 2 years to WrestleMania 8. It's another appearance by Bret the Hitman Hart. It's another appearance by the Intercontinental title, as this time he challenges for the title against Roddy Piper. This is just such a good match. It is so good. Again, to tell the story, you got to roll it back a little tiny bit. Just before the Royal Rumble, Bret Hart lost the Intercontinental title to the Mountie. The Mountie beats Bret Hart for the Intercontinental title. Then Roddy Piper challenges him for it at the Royal Rumble. Now, this brilliant storytelling here. I remember as a kid, I got the Royal Rumble 1992 VHS tape from a car boot sale. If you're an American, that means I got it from a swap meet, I think you call it. You call it something like a swap meet. Either way, I got it from a car boot sale. And I also got one of those children's foam Intercontinental titles where it was kind of like the metal-y part, what's supposed to be metal on it, is like a little like foil sticker, and it was all peeling away and like slightly ripped, but I adored that thing. I absolutely loved it. So as I'm sat there in my living room with this Intercontinental Kids title strapped around my waist, I'm watching as Roddy Piper wins the Intercontinental title. I was running around the living room absolutely overjoyed and buzzing. Then you go to the Royal Rumble match itself, the first time the WWF title was on the line in the Royal Rumble, and Roddy Piper's got the chance to win 2 titles in one night, the first time he'd ever won a title in the WWF, and he might win 2 in the same night. Great storytelling. He doesn't go on to win it, then he goes on to defend it against the guy who the Mountie beat, Bret the Hitman Hart, at WrestleMania. And it's just an absolute classic. There's blood, there's weapons, there's stuff that you wouldn't really expect for WWF 1992. in this match. The way they do it is absolutely brilliant. The way that it finishes with Piper has Bret Hart in the sleeper hold, and he rolls up the ring ropes with his feet and then flips it back over and gets the 1, 2, 3. Just absolutely classic stuff. Then Piper afterwards, you know, kind of mean mugging Bret Hart and then going, do you know what? Nah, you're the man. Puts the belt around him, raises his hand. They go off hugging together. Oh, beautiful moments. In at number 7, it's starting to feel like the Shawn Michaels show, as Shawn Michaels faced The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. Now, this may be the most recent match, spoiler alert, that you hear about in this video, but to me, I remember it just being absolutely incredible. I don't remember if I think like I had the day off work the next day. I remember staying up for this WrestleMania 25, and falling asleep, just being so tired that I fell asleep. I fell asleep like just before this match. So the first thing that I watched that next morning when I was awake and fresh was this match, and honestly, I was blown away by this match. I thought it was absolutely incredible. The way they did the back and forth. Obviously, The Undertaker had his streak at the time. The next year, the stakes were raised a little bit higher, but because we were spoilt so much by this match, it didn't feel like as good as a match. You can easily like kind of interchange the two, but to me, this one was better because this is the one we got first. Oh, WrestleMania 25, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker. Absolute brilliance. Now, number 6 is an extremely interesting one. It took place at In Your House Canadian Stampede, which, by the way, is such a show that people sleep on. It's such a show. I highly recommend going out to watch this one. It is just fire of a show, especially this main event, which features the Hart Foundation, Bret the Hitman Hart. I said it was the Shawn Michaels show, but it's kind of the Bret the Hitman Hart show as well. Bret the Hitman Hart, his brother Owen Hart, the British Bulldog, their other brother-in-law, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and Brian Pillman going against Goldust, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ken Shamrock, and the Legion of Doom. Now, there is so much story within this match. Where do we start? Obviously, at the time, Austin and Bret Hart were feuding with each other. There was this whole anti-American gimmick that Bret Hart was doing, where he was kind of a hero all the way around the world, besides in America, when most of the shows were taking place. Austin was the hero. He was the anti-hero, and he was the guy that everyone loved. I'll be honest with you, I grew up in the UK. As I was watching this, Bret Hart was the good guy, Austin was the bad guy. But my mate Gaz, who lived 2 doors down, he loved Austin. He thought Austin was the best. So it just goes to show how like polarizing these two characters were, in the sense that you could pick your guy and absolutely love him for whatever he was doing. It wasn't pure good guys and bad guys anymore. It was a lot of shades of grey. Now that was the main storyline. Obviously, SummerSlam 97, Owen Hart breaks Austin's neck. You can throw that in there as well. There's the whole Hart Foundation gimmick. There's the fact that Goldust was married to Marlena, who was the ex-girlfriend of Brian Pillman, who's on the other side. It's just so much going on in this match. In fact, you could just talk about the match itself as being quite a pedestrian, middle-of-the-road match, like for the actual in-ring action that you see. But what you cannot ignore is just the heat of the crowd. I have never seen any match that matches the heat of this crowd. It is just something else. It really is worth going out your way to see. You've got the legends as well, like the Legion of Doom on the other side. Ken Shamrock, who's been bedded into pro wrestling at the time. Obviously, he was the referee at WrestleMania 13 as well, when Austin faced Bret Hart. So much going on. This is a match that, you know, a lot of people may not have seen if you're new wrestling fans. Go and check this one out. But if you are a newer wrestling fan, I am very certain you will be very familiar with this match. In at number 5, it is John Cena defending the WWE Championship against CM Punk. Money in the Bank 2011. I still remember exactly how I felt, let's roll it back. Let's start with the pipe bomb promo. CM Punk cuts this absolutely scathing promo where, let's be honest, it's a work shoot. They let him go out there and really express himself. His real life contract is running up, and that's probably a part of the reason why they said, you know what, you believe in yourself and you think we don't. How about we give you the time to say whatever you want, and let's see if you can put your money where your mouth is. And oh, did he ever put his money where his mouth was. I was at the end of uni at the time. I remember watching this promo in my university bedroom, being like, oh, this is incredible. I wish I could show this to some of them to understand. The lads who lived with me, they weren't wrestling fans. I could have shown them the stuff, but they just wouldn't have really understood the context of what he was saying. But anyone who was even halfway a wrestling fan at the time, they knew exactly what CM Punk was saying. And if you were a quote-unquote smart fan at the time, like I considered myself to be, oh my God, you were so behind CM Punk. As John Cena's lying there in the ring, having gone through the table, and CM Punk just cuts this promo saying, I'm better than you, John. I'm better than you. I'm the best in the world. He shouts out Colt Cabana. We move forward. We move forward to Money in the Bank. Let's get past the promo. We all know about the promo. The match itself, we were all certain that John Cena was going to win. As wrestling fans, again, as the smart fans that we thought we were, we'd live through this. Time and time again, Cena would beat the guy that we like. Whether it be Wade Barrett, whether it be Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, Cena would always come out with the win. He'd always come out with the title, especially when you look at it from a larger viewpoint of a full-time story. You'd see him come out on top. And we were hoping, praying that CM Punk was going to get the win. Because he said, listen, my contract's running up. That is my last night at work. I might take the title to Ring of Honor. And we were like, oh my God. Can you imagine CM Punk not only becomes the WWF champion, but takes the title to Ring of Honor, which, by the way, I think they missed up massively. They should have really done that and really carried through with their promises. Vince McMahon loves to carry through with his promises. But then again, this is a CM Punk thing where he said what he said. They let him say what he said, but yeah. We'll get to that later. The thing with this match is I stayed up, or I was going away like the day after. I stayed up all night because I was like, listen, I don't want to have to wake up early tomorrow morning. I'm going away and watch. I want to see it now. And if I sleep in, I sleep in. I leave when I leave. But I've got to see this. And I absolutely marked out for this match. I was so buzzing. I remember telling the people I was hanging out with that next day, like, they weren't wrestling fans. I was trying to explain to them, listen, I'm a jaded wrestling fan. I cannot mark out. But that made me truly mark out when CM Punk beat John Cena for the title. It was just an absolutely, it made you young again. It made you believe. And now we're back to the Bret Hart show, because number 4 is Bret the Hitman Hart defending the WWF Intercontinental title against his brother-in-law, the British Bulldog, in front of 80,000 paying fans in London, England at Wembley Stadium. Yes, of course, this is SummerSlam 1992. You don't really need much backstory for this. The British Bulldog, British born, from up the road in Golborne, was about to challenge for the title at Wembley Stadium. This is the old Wembley. This is the place where England in 1966 won the World Cup. This is the place that had the FA Cup final every year. This is the place that in 4 short years afterwards, England would have a great run in Euro 96 and fall just short in the semi-finals on penalties against the Germans. This is a part of British wrestling lore. You could have not been a wrestling fan at the time and you would have been well into this show. SummerSlam 1992 wasn't just for the wrestling fans, it was for the British public. They gave you someone they could believe in. They gave you. Now, it's hard for us to understand this, But you know how we got behind the England team in the Euros and they got to the final? They gave you a moment like that where they were like, we've got this guy, the British Bulldog, he's going to have a title match for the WWF Intercontinental title at Wembley in front of 80,000 fans. Add an extra layer on top of that, he's challenging his brother-in-law for the title. Add another layer to that, Diana Hart, his wife, Bret's sister, she's going to cut promos crying, saying I wish they could just get along, but they just have to fight this out because they both want to be champion, they both want to be the best. I just hope neither of them get hurt. Oh, talking about making you feel in the last match, especially as an English fan, to see the British Bulldog in the main event of SummerSlam 1992 get the win against Bret the Hitman Hart, and Bret the Hitman Hart is my favourite wrestler of all time. And this match is one of the reasons, because if you hear the real life backstory to this match, how the Bulldog, I'm not going to say what he was smoking, but it wasn't legal. Him and the Anvil for weeks went missing before this, and were, let's just say, doing illegal things and taking that into their body. He was in no fit state to be main eventing any wrestling show, like a local high school one, never mind the biggest show in British wrestling history. It's incredible that this match turned out the way that it did. That's all credit to Bret the Hitman Hart, but what an absolutely beautiful match. Number 3. I remember this one like it was yesterday. It's Royal Rumble 2000. It's their WWF World Heavyweight title match. It's Triple H versus Mick Foley, but not just any incarnation of Mick Foley. This is Triple H versus Cactus Jack in a street fight. And being a British wrestling fan, this was live for free on Channel 4. If you're an American and you don't understand this concept, because why would you? Channel 4 is one of the free channels that we get. You get that granted on your television. It's not pay-per-view. It's not even a cable channel. It's just a free channel that you get. And WWE in the year 2000 were trying this experiment where they gave, well, they basically sold some shows to Channel 4. Obviously, WWF was massive at the time, and Channel 4, they probably paid quite a premium for it, wanting to draw viewers in. And oh my goodness, I was 11 years old at the time. Earlier on in this video, I mentioned the lad who lived 2 doors down, Gary. He was a wrestling fan, massive wrestling fan. His brothers were wrestling fans too. His dad was a wrestling fan. Across the road, Alan and Tom, wrestling fans. Across the road in the other direction, David and Mark, wrestling fans. Down our side of the street, 2 lads called Stuart lived next door to each other, wrestling fans. This wasn't just me. This isn't just me as an adult now talking to a camera because my friends don't really like wrestling like that anymore. This was the height of me and my friends all loving pro wrestling. And it's Triple H Cactus Jack in a street fight for free at a major show. And oh my goodness, did they deliver. This is just a superb match. They even followed it up. The next match that they could have also been on this list, the Hell in the Cell at No Way Out 2000, where Mankind Mick Foley ends up retiring. Both brilliant matches. The brutality in this match, the barbed wire baseball match, the pedigree into the thumbtacks, the chair shots, the handcuffs behind the back, the Rock coming out partway through the match just to undo the handcuffs and level it out again. Oh, what a match. I could show this match to anyone, and I genuinely think anyone can enjoy this match because of the brutality involved and the quality of the storytelling. My hat's off to you. And staying in the year 2000, in at number 2, it is the Hardys. It's the Dudleys. It's Edge and Christian. It's TLC1. Oh my goodness. Everyone's go-to is WrestleMania 17. But my go-to is SummerSlam 2000. One of my favourite shows of all time. I mentioned whilst talking about the last match. This came at a time where my wrestling fandom was at a peak. And just the things that these 3 tag teams did to their bodies for our enjoyment is just, oh, it is just another level of stuff. Edge and Christian end up getting the win in this match. And those bad guys, when we've got two good guys, in fact, were they both good guy teams? The Hardys definitely were. The Dudleys may have been bad guys at the time. But either way, those bad guys winning the titles, the last team we wanted to get the belts, Edge and Christian, they go up there and do it. It was just superb. Like the Dudleys, they just debuted recently from ECW. Edge and Christian were like maybe debuted in '98. The Hardys, again, they've been around for a long time as job guys, but they'd only really come into their own as real like main roster guys like around this time. And I remember looking at them like during this time, looking at these guys, thinking like these look a lot different to the other wrestlers. Like the Hardy Boys, in comparison to everyone else, they look like, I mean, they're bigger than me, but they look like skinny guys, and like it was kind of a foreshadowing of the way that the wrestling industry was changing. And the fact that they weren't just trying to be as good as everyone else, they were blowing them out of the water with just this new concept. I mentioned the ladder match earlier on, WrestleMania 10, Michaels and Razor Ramon. If you watch it in comparison to this, you're like, wow, this is like watching someone like walk a mile compared to someone like sprint at like 100 yards. It's just like so different. I can't put this match over enough. Like again, this is one of the matches that when I was at university and I'd have people over and they'd be like, "You're a wrestling fan," and I'd say, yeah. Let me show you a match. This was my go-to, either this one or 17. Either way, just quality stuff. And I remember, again, speaking about my mates at the time, I remember buying this VHS tape around 2004. VHS was tailing off; people weren't getting them anymore. But one of my mates, Andy, his dad used to own like a video stall in Bullen Market. I remember seeing this, and it might have been on for like 7-10 quid, and being like, "Oh, I want that." He went, "Do you know what? I'll do it for a fiver for you. Give it me for a five." And I love that tape to this day. Just love it. And finally, the greatest WWE match of all time, my number one. It is Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship at In Your House Bad Blood in 1997 in the first ever Hell in a Cell match. Oh, where do you even begin to talk about all this? This is in and around the time that we had Bret Hart in that anti-American mode. That Canadian Stampede pay-per-view is very close to this. This, sadly, is the day that Brian Pillman was found dead. Like, that's one of the first things I remember about this show is, again, let's go back to my mate Gaz. Gaz and his family, they taped this off Sky Sports and he brought it to me the next day to watch it. I remember sitting home and watching this show straight away, and on commentary they said Brian Pillman has died. I was like, what? Like, you're young, you're like, you can't really compute these things. Brian Pillman gone forever. Like, and then you move on storyline wise. In storyline wise, you get given this match of Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. Bret Hart's been involved at SummerSlam, and then there's been steel chairs involved. I think Shawn Michaels hit Undertaker with a steel chair at one point in that match because Bret Hart spat in Shawn Michaels' face. Or was it the other way around? Oh, it's all muddled up in my head right now, but it's just such great story. So no, I'm pretty sure it's that way. Bret spits at Shawn. Shawn turns around, swings at him. Bret moves out of the way, and he ends up hitting The Undertaker. But this is the main event of Bad Blood we're talking about. This is the Hell in the Cell. The storyline with The Undertaker at the time was Paul Bearer is going to bring back his brother to come and get him. And what happens? The end of this match, both guys are out cold. That haunting organ music. Red lighting around the entrance, and this monster just appears from the, and then the commentary's like, "Oh my God, that's gotta be Kane. That's gotta be Kane." As Kane comes down with Paul Bearer, and again, at this stage, I'm what, 97, 9 years old. I am absolutely terrified of this monster walking down to the ring. He gets to the ring, he rips the door off the cell. He gets in there, Undertaker, even though he's wearing a mask, Undertaker's like, "Oh my God, that's my brother. Before he knows, Undertaker's upside down. Bam! Pile driver. Shawn Michaels rolls over. Arm over him. 1, 2, 3. Shawn Michaels gets the win over Undertaker. This new monster Kane has debuted, and immediately he is in that main event picture with the big dogs. It's just an absolute masterpiece. I cannot explain how good it was living through that era of pro wrestling. There you have it. That is my top 10 WWE wrestling matches of all time. I would love to hear your folks' opinions of it down below in the comment section. I'm going to do some similar ones to this if you want to see them. Like, for example, I mentioned Bret and Owen at the start of this. If you want to see my top 10 feuds of all time, I'll put that in here. Other companies and stuff like that, I'm happy to do that. But yeah, I'd love to hear your folks' opinions. And if you, let's be honest, you're not going to agree. No one's going to ever have the exact same top 10, especially not in the exact same order. So I would love to hear your folks' top 10 wrestling matches in the comments down below. Put them in there for me. You can put your best match, you can put your top 3, your top 5, your top 10. If you want to go all out and do a top 20, I'll entertain it. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below and ding that notification bell. That way, every time I make a video, you will be the first person who hears about it. And with that, I'm out. Thank you very, very much for watching.